Getting a game right on your first go is hard. If you can pull it off, then I doff my digital fedora to you, my lady, but even games as sacrosanct as Dark Souls botch things from time to time. Therefore, when a series takes off, you get the chance to expand, to build, refine, and obviously add more QTEs. And hooray, the second game's a success! Now you've got the money and all the nerdy ladies to boot. But you've also got a new pressure. The problem is now, how the f*** do you end it? With this in mind, I'm Jules for WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 video games that totally botch the endings to their trilogies. Number 10, Batman Arkham Knight. Jules, I hear you feverishly type, sweating as you do from your scarred and lumpy jowls. Arkham Knight is the 4th game in the series, so it's not a trilogy. Well, to that I say, I'm going for a timeline perspective, bitch, meaning Origins is discounting as it happened before the first game. Rockstar are pretty good at doing the Batman, as they did the best Batman games ever in Arkham Asylum and City, but then, oh dear, Batmobile. Hello Arkham Knight and your obsession with racing and vehicular combat and the goddamn Riddler basing his whole shtick around a car. I mean, the story was okay, I guess, but the Joker's appearance felt really tacked on, and the Arkham Knight reveal was really obvious to those with a pulse. Basically, what this game lacked, despite the millions of pounds that Warner Brothers spanked on it, was a sense of refinement. The game just got too big and bloated and felt soulless as a result. Plus, I mean, we also have to talk about how goddamn broken it was in the PC. It was so broken, in fact, that Warner Bros. Refunded thousands of people who bought it, and then never patched it properly, and then kept it on Steam. What a damp squib to an otherwise explosive trilogy. Number 9, Assassin's Creed 3. No, not Brotherhood, let's take the Ezio trilogy as all being part of the second game. For any who played it, Assassin's Creed 3 started out in a very peculiar way, neglecting to put you in the shoes of Connor, who we'd seen in various trailers, but instead Haytham Kenway, an Englishman with a name I've never heard ever before, ever in the history of being English, and not sure what crack pipe the writers were huffing from when they came up with that one. Anyway, Haytham ended up being revealed as a Templar and one of the best plot twists in gaming history. From there on out, though, it was a weird transition that snowballed into a total lack of direction for the game overall. Resource management was present, reviving a dilapidated homestead for apparently no reason. Ubisoft's now trademark glitches were abundant and frustrating, and Desmond's modern-day story took a one-way trip to Cuckoo Land as Des sacrificed himself to save the world. Gameplay lost its stealth as well, as Connor was a one-man slaughterhouse. And when the narrative pull wasn't even remotely there, the steady decline of Assassin's Creed can be traced back to this game. Number 8, Fable 3. For fuck's sake, Peter, every time I do a voiceover for a most disappointing list, you keep appearing. I'm sick of you, Peter. I'm sick of your lies and your ever-flapping gums and your constant ability to break my fragile heart. Anyway, Fable 3, the literal definition of an ill-designed world map you had to visit to change equipment, also had a story about as engaging as a wet fart. It was supposed to delve into the acquisition and use of power, overthrowing a kingdom, raising an army to stem the tide of darkness, yet it devolved into what amounts as a circle jerk with all the depth of a pile of rat vomit. The biggest problem was simplification. The parrot head that houses Molyneux's brain was so intent on making things simple in the hopes of making it accessible that we ended up with baby's first RPG. Fable 3's minimising of all the aspects we most love was a bigger turn-off than people who professionally vape. A truly terrible end to a franchise effectively sold in the inflated lies of Mr. Molyneux from day one. Number 7, Uncharted 3. Now, by itself, Uncharted 3 isn't necessarily a bad video game, it's just too much of the same, coming from a series that saw a monumental step up between Uncharted 1 and 2. Naughty Dog themselves mentioned that all they really wanted to do was see what crazy concoctions of code they could conjure up when it came to level design, hence the overturned tanker, the ton of physics-based set pieces like the aeroplane crash, and levels that occasionally felt overwhelming when it came to enemy placement and the amount of things happening at once. Drake didn't receive any new abilities other than the option to kick out of an enemy grabbing him, and it ended up making the title feel like a strange entry in the series overall. Number 6, Fallout 3. Fuck, really? Are we gonna put Fallout 3 on here? I'm gonna get fucking crucified. So when you think of Fallout, you probably think of first-person shooting, character builds and slow-motion VAT systems, right? Wrong. Originally, the series was in the trusted hands of Black Isle Studios, a team that had built one hell of a fan base around the original 2 games' isometric gameplay, focusing on character interaction, hardcore state progression, and copious dollops of wet, slimy, moist humour. When Bethesda bought them out and acquired the license back in 2007, the in-progress Fallout 3, then codenamed Van Buren, was canned, as Bethesda used Oblivion's Gamebryo engine to completely remodel the franchise into a first-person shooter. You got the old-school lovers of Black Isle's work who adore the top-down exploits of fleshing out every aspect of their character, and then you got the new Fallout fans who came in when Fallout 3 went massive and adore what Bethesda did. Either way, what Fallout 3 was pitched as and then eventually released as are 2 completely different games. Therefore, it's on the list because as an addition to the original trilogy, it left fans out with the Mirelurks. Number 5, Jak 3. In the run-up to Jak 3 coming out, we were a bit cautious about Naughty Dog dropping the sci-fi world of Jak 2's Haven City, as a ton of the appeal was mixing flying cars in with your own slick hoverboard and kick-flipping over guards' heads as you drank in the exemplary world design. For Jak 3, though, almost all of that was gone in favour of Mad Max-style plodding through a wasteland. The focus now was on unlocking bigger and more gnarly-looking cars, which would have been okay, but the cars themselves actually handled like they were made of helium and floated about the track seemingly with attraction to walls, objects, or anything which would make them explode. It didn't help that exploration was discouraged by abandoned marauders who blast you to Kingdom Come if you ventured out too far. And although that Jak's abilities were fleshed out to include contrasting light and dark ego paths, it felt too disconnected from the series' high point that was the second installment. Number 4, Hitman Contracts. Weirdly, all contracts had to do off the back of Silent Assassin's brilliant game engine was just tighten up the screws. Animation needed some spit and polish, the alert system that seemed to go sporadically crazy definitely needed overhauling, but for the most part that's all they had to fix, and just add more levels. Well, they delivered on the last point, but they didn't remedy a single thing about the previous two. In fact, your movement through contracts even felt more stiff and weird, with a notorious skating effect happening if you push too many directions at once, seeing Agent 47 glide everywhere instead of walking like some bold, angry killer ghost. The ragdoll animations were as explosively weightless as ever, mission designs only had the occasional standout moment, and mostly it just felt like an additional map pack rather than anything truly substantial. Number 3. Doom 3. There's a good reason that up until now we haven't heard from Doom in 12 years. The last time that ID Software attempted to continue the legacy of John Romero's legendary franchise, they, for lack of a better word, ballsed it up somewhat. Critics appear to love it though, despite mentioning numerous issues such as being hampered by switching between flashlights and firearms, or feeling like the change in tonal direction from FPS to slow corridor crawling shockfest wasn't what everyone wanted to see. It turned into one of those expectation bubble bursting games that the fanbase just couldn't get along with. Not when the previous two entries had made their name off the backs of weapons like the big f***ing gun, or had you slice your own name through enemy hordes with a chainsaw. Luckily Doom 4 seems to have struck this balance, but boy did Doom 3 feel clunky as f***. Number 2. God of War 3. God of War's base hack-and-slash formula felt immediately timeless back in 2005, in a really why didn't anyone else do this outside of Dynasty Warriors kind of way. Quick time events and square-square triangle combos rang true for the hefty 20-plus hour adventures that were God of War 1 and 2, with the latter hitting a series high point thanks to the perfect marriage of violence and a pacey narrative that saw Kratos' motivations match up to the gods he was vying to take down. Then God of War 3 happened, where Kratos just became a caricature of himself, an angry, bold idiot who'd gut and flay all around him if it meant just getting his way. The game had things like throwing slaves into whirring cogs to solve puzzles, or sleeping with another imprisoned man's wife and then killing him when he found out. Across the board, it was aiming for some sort of ultimate power fantasy, yet felt less like this and more about fantasizing about your naked dad beating you with a foot-long sausage. It was a violent, confused mess. Number 1. Mass Effect 3. The granddaddy of disappointment. Mass Effect 3's story is one for the history books. Well, we went from a fairly grounded space tale of a multiracial force uniting to battle an unstoppable threat, only to find a childish AI was controlling them the entire time. However, the reality behind why it was so utterly broken remains fascinating for all the wrong reasons. Firstly, Prothean character Javik, somebody who actually literally has all the answers because he fought the Reaper before, was initially intended to be on the disc, alongside a ton of additional story content later released as DLC. Now I wonder who could have put them up to that, EA? Do you know who could have done that to BioWare? BioWare saw their reputation in tatters as fans mounted several petitions to demand a real ending, which they eventually caved and expanded on, and EA were publicly voted the worst company in America by Consumerists for their insistence that BioWare ship the game early and produce tons of DLC. Mass Effect 3 went down so badly, so severely, and so violently that even though Andromeda looks absolutely fantastic, the amount of negativity it has to surmount is unprecedented. And that's our list. Got any more stories of disappointments that aren't just you looking in a mirror? Then drop us a message in the comments below. And if you want to see what real success is like, then you can chat to me personally here or here. If you enjoyed the video, then like, share and subscribe. I've been Jules for WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.